Refocused? Give me attention. Oh, I didn't mean to do that light thing. Oh, nope. That's not what we want. Why am I oversharing today? Hi friends, it's Claire and today I'll be doing the 2020 Superlatives book tag. This tag was created by Kirsten over at Kirsten's Corner. I'll be linking the original video down below. Make sure to check it out. It is such a fun and unique tag and I thought it was a really fun way to just wrap up my thoughts on some of my favorite books from this past year. I am so behind on my 2020 wrap-up content. New Year's is in a few days, so let's just get this show on the road and go right into it. And in case you were wondering, yes, I did get a superlative in high school. You see, my school wanted to be as inclusive as possible, so they just created a bunch of random superlatives. There weren't many like most likely to's. So I got songbird. Interpret that how you will. I'm not entirely sure what it means either. The first prompt is Class Clown, the funniest book you read this year. I have not read many comedies. I guess they'd be comedies in book form as well. I love comedy. As a performer, comedy is my just like all-time favorite thing to perform. When it comes to television, I just want sitcoms. I want something that's going to make me laugh. With books, I don't tend to read funny things, which is why I have thoroughly enjoyed reading the Percy Jackson books this year. I mean, they're not necessarily comedies, but they have some hilarious content. They're just silly and lighthearted, and that's all I want. Reading these books has brought me so much joy this past year. I know I said it in my reading vlogs, but you know, if you haven't read the books, these books just came at the right time in my life. I kind of thought that I'd just missed out on all the Percy Jackson hype and that I'd never get around to these books, but thanks to the Percy Jackson readathon that's been happening, I finally picked these books up. They could not have come at a more perfect time in my life. I really needed something lighthearted and adventurous to get me through these dark few months. It's been almost a year. Oh no. They're so much fun and they have the adventure side, but it's not stressful. The target audience is middle grade, so it's just such a good time. It's brought me so much light these past months, and that's all I'm gonna say on that, because I could talk about these books for forever. The next book is Drama Queen, the most dramatic book I read this year. I also don't tend to read dramas because reading very much is a form of escapism for me, and I could see where reading dramas could be a type of escapism for people, but I don't like being stressed while I'm reading. I think the most dramatic book I read this year was actually this past month for the Disney Channel Games readathon, and that was November 9 by Colleen Hoover, and I did thoroughly enjoy this book. I was a little hesitant because in the past I haven't always loved Colleen Hoover's books, but this one was just so well written. The beginning was lighthearted enough for me that I was hooked, and then by the time I got to the drama, I was sold. I was there. I was with those characters. I was in it with them. Class couple, a superlative that I wouldn't have even been considered for. Your favorite book couple read from this year. Now, I reread a lot of books back in the spring. I reread pretty much all of Sarah J Maas's books and several of Cassandra Clare's books, and my two OTPs of all time are in Cassandra Clare and Sarah J Maas's books. If you know, you know. I don't want to spoil people, but like I feel like if you've read any of the books, you know. But the new ship that took my heart in a way that like I have not felt this passionate about a fictional couple since I read the ACOTAR series as the books were coming out when I was in high school. If you know, you know. I cannot believe the way these characters literally pulled out my high school fangirl. I've not been this passionate about a book couple since I was in high school. I am so passionate about the main pairing in the original Percy Jackson series. That's what I'm gonna say. I feel like people know who that is, but just in case you don't, just pick up the books. I promise you, you'll have a fun time. Back in the day, because I've never had Tumblr, I never let myself go down that wormhole because I knew there would be no going out of it. So I would just go on Pinterest and I would look up fan art on Pinterest. I would spend hours looking at ACOTAR fan art. I did that. This brought that back, so my faves. The next prompt is Most Change, and this is the character with the most growth. And this one I'm going to have to give to Bryce from Sarah J Maas's House of Earth and Blood. Bryce goes through it the way that Sarah J Maas tends to put her characters through it, but I feel like Bryce really goes through it. This is at least a 2-book arc in this singular book, probably because it's like 2 books in length. Watching her resilience and her strength was just inspiring in the way that Sarah J Maas's characters tend to inspire me, and I read this one back in March. Those were some dark days. Bryce is just such a badass character, and the way she handles things is really inspiring. Sometimes I'm like, Bryce girl, what are you doing? But most of the time I'm like, yes, you go girl. Then we have most popular, another thing I would not have ever been considered for. Listen, I had friends. It's not like I was alone. I just, I kept to my group, which I feel like works with this prompt. This prompt is book character that you would want to be best friends with. And I have always been the type of person to have a core group of very close friends, which is another reason why BookTube has been really great for me, because I have so many new friends from this platform, and I feel like I talk about this all the time now, so I'm gonna stop. When I'm reading a book and I see those core group of friends, I feel like I really resonate with that. And I really saw that in Cassandra Clare's Chain of Gold, which came out back in March. I want to be best friends with all these characters. The group of them are just, I mean, like, one of the main themes of this book is secrecy and how secrets affect us and our relationships. So I would love to be there when the drama has like ended. I would love to be there when there aren't secrets, because I think these characters are all so precious and they would do anything for the people they love. They care about each other so much, and they also just seem like so much fun. Like, it would be such a fun time to hang out with Lucy and Cordelia and James and Matthew and Thomas and Christopher. Like, I just want to be best friends with them. The next prompt is most likely to be president, a book character who could be president one day. And my answer is a cop-out. I'm aware of this, but I could not go through this book tag without acknowledging this book. So my answer is in fact the president's son, Alex from Red, White, and Royal Blue. Also, Alex wants to be a congressman. He wants to be in politics, so I feel like he could be such a good president. I don't know how that arrangement would work with his love interest, I'm gonna say, for the sake of not spoiling people, but I still think he could do an amazing job. I just want to say I love this book because I haven't said it yet in this video, and I don't think a video should go by where I don't acknowledge how much I love this book. Next up, we have most likely to brighten your day, the happiest book you read this year. For the sake of not repeating the same answers I've already given, I'm going to say Leah Johnson's You Should See Me in a Crown. I don't really know how to describe it. I was gonna say so fun, because that's how I describe most things that I enjoy, in case you haven't picked up on that. But it also tackled some hard-hitting topics. The main character, Liz, is Black and queer, and she has mental health struggles, and I feel like this book tackled a lot without tackling it. The book was just about her and her high school experience, and these are all things that are important to who she is. It was just an adorable high school contemporary romance, and it was sweet, but it also made you think. The next prompt is best entertainer, the most entertaining book you read this year, and I'm going to give this one to Tweet Cute by Emma Lord. Another adorable, lighthearted book. The format was so much fun to reading about the different tweets and like the BuzzFeed articles. I also found it entertaining because it takes place in October of 2020, clearly written before October 2020 since it came out back in the spring. Yeah, this is like an alternate timeline, non-pandemic timeline. So it's entertaining to read about, you know, how the world could have been. It's fine. For most unique, the most unique book you've read this year, I'm giving it to Paper Girls. I think one of the reasons I find it so unique is because I don't tend to read graphic novels. This is only the second graphic novel that I've picked up ever. Do you guys remember the Bone series? I read those back in elementary school, but I haven't read graphic novels in years and years, and I picked up one back in October and I was like, this is fun, this is quick, it makes me feel accomplished because you can read it in one sitting. And I owned this book. It was gifted to me years ago and I just never read it because I don't usually read graphic novels. Finally read it. I'm gonna be real, it wasn't my favorite book, mostly because I didn't have volume 2 immediately available to me and I was just very confused. I really loved volume 2. So I'm hoping that as it goes on, I'm gonna start understanding what's happening. But I thought it was a very fun, not that word again, a very unique idea. And the art in this book is just stunning. Next up is Most Unforgettable, the most unforgettable book you read this year. And once again, not a day goes by that I do not talk about Loveless by Alice Oseman. I just have so much love for this book. Loveless has a lot of different LGBTQ+ rep, and I definitely feel like asexuality is not talked about a lot. And this book at the back had a ton of resources. Just it opened my eyes to a lot. And finally, we have Most Organized, the most well thought out book that you read this year. You all know it has to be Bear Town. I put off reading this book for a long time because, to be quite honest, I was really worried about it triggering me. I'm so glad I read it because for me, as an individual with my own personal experiences, I did not find it triggering. That's not to say that it will not trigger other people, so definitely if you're planning on reading this book, look up the trigger warning because it's pretty intense. If you are not someone who is easily triggered or who has triggers that connect to this book, I cannot recommend reading it enough. It is one of the most well-written books I've ever read, if not the most well-written. I read it because Mare from Mare Reads talks about it all the time. She talks about this book the way I talk about Loveless, like it's gonna come up. And I have been like, I need to read this book because Mare loves it and I trust Mare's opinion, but I was very nervous. And then Em read it and she was like, I think you're gonna be good. The saddest thing for me right now is just that I don't own a copy and I can't immediately reread it and annotate my own copy. The way that Frederick Bachman writes about humanity is just unlike anything I've ever read, and it's so accurate. The things he writes are things that have gone through all of our heads, but that you think no one else is thinking this, like this is just me. And then you read these thoughts that you've had and it's like, oh, I'm not alone, I'm human. Oh, most organized, how is it most organized? This book is told from so many different POVs. I don't even remember what the writing style is called. It's not like third person, it's very removed, but you still feel very involved with the characters. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Every little moment feels so meticulously planned, but it reads so easily. You're not sitting there going, wow, a lot of work went into this. Certain themes pop up again and again and again throughout each like paragraph, and you're just like, his mind, how did he write this? How did he do it? I don't know. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'm clearly losing my mind, so I think we're gonna end it there. If you're interested in hearing more of my thoughts on the books I read this year, I will be releasing a tier ranking video, so definitely check that one out. In the comments below, tell me what are some of your favorite books that you read this year. Clearly, I needed more book recommendations in my life. I started this year off just rereading all of my favorite books, and that's how I've spent my last few years. So please let me know because I love getting recommendations and I would love to check out some of your favorites. If you're not already, please subscribe. We are so close to 500 subscribers. I'm actually crossing my fingers. Maybe by the time this video goes up, we'll have 500. Em and I are so thankful for every single one of you, and stay tuned because we have so many fun things planned in the new year. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.